What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to the Versus series. This is the series where I take two similar game elements from Black Ops 4, I put them side by side, have a look at their stats to see which one is better. In the first episode, we were covering some SMGs. We had the Switchblade versus the SOG 9mm. In today's episode, we're getting into the assault rifle category and covering the ICR versus the SWAT. So let's hop right into the comparison here. When it comes to shots to kill, both of these guns kill in the exact same number of bullets, 5 to 6. As for a rate of fire, they are very similar. The ICR has a rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute, whereas the SWAT fires just a little bit faster at 625 rounds per minute. This means when we have a look at our statistical minimum time to kill values, the SWAT is obviously going to be killing just a little bit faster than the ICR. We're talking about 1 frame faster. So the ICR in the 5-shot kill range kills in 400 milliseconds, whereas the SWAT kills in 384 milliseconds, which is just a hair faster, but that will make a difference in some gunfights. Also, below the standard time to kill for the SWAT, you'll see there's another time to kill value. That is the time to kill potential, because we do have access to the high caliber attachment, which can reduce the number of shots it takes to kill down to 4. And therefore, if you are using high caliber and you're hitting your headshots, you can potentially be killing people as fast as 288 milliseconds with the SWAT. Whereas with the ICR, there is no way that you can reduce the number of shots to kill. As for our ranges, it's very clear that the ICR is the winner in this category. It has a base 5-shot kill range of 50 meters, whereas with the SWAT, your base 5-shot kill range is only 25 meters. Now, I do want to point out, with the SWAT, all it takes is using the long barrel attachment, and it will double your 5-shot kill range, which will then match the ICR. So it's definitely possible to equalize them, but it will cost you a point with the SWAT. Moving on to recoil, as you can see here, both of them are pretty accurate guns, and also fairly easy to control as well. Although even with no attachments, the ICR is definitely a bit more accurate than the SWAT. It doesn't sway side to side as much as the SWAT, and that's the more difficult recoil to control. So once again, the ICR definitely has a slight edge over the SWAT when it comes to accuracy, but we can take this another step further, and with the ICR we have access to 2 grip attachments, whereas with the SWAT we don't have access to grip. Just to show you a comparison of what grip 2 looks like on the ICR versus the standard recoil with the SWAT, you can see now the difference is night and day. One of the big upsides of using the ICR is the fact that you can use grip 2, which gives you pinpoint accuracy, and also it essentially eliminates flinch when you get shot. The SWAT RFT doesn't have access to this ability. Moving on to magazine capacity, both of them have a standard magazine capacity of 35 rounds, but with the SWAT, we do have the option to increase that all the way up to 55 rounds per mag with the extended mag attachment. This is a huge increase in magazine capacity. It's more like an LMG at that point, which is pretty crazy. As for our total starting ammo, if you aren't using attachments, both of them will be the same at 105 rounds. But once again, if you put extended mags on the SWAT, it will increase this all the way up to 165 rounds, which is very noticeable. This brings us to our reload times, and as you can see there, the ICR does have a noticeably better reload time at 1.3 seconds, which is very good. Whereas with the SWAT, it is very noticeably slower at 1.57 seconds, and this is slow enough that it can screw with you sometimes. You can get caught in a reload, which is really frustrating, but with the SWAT, we also have access to reduce our reload time using the fast mag attachment. This will cut it down very significantly, down to 0.92 seconds. Moving on to our handling and mobility stats, our aim down sight time is actually equal with both of these assault rifles at 300 milliseconds or 260 if you use the quick draw attachment, which you can use on both of these guns. And our sprint out time is also the same at 300 milliseconds for these. Getting into movement speed, once again, no surprises here. Both of them have the standard assault rifle movement speed at 95%, as well as our base aim down sight stray speed. This is also standard for assault rifles at 40%. But we have another situation where the SWAT can do better than the ICR with an attachment. This is with the stock attachment, which will bump up your aim down sight stray speed to 60%. So after seeing all these stats, you can see that these guns are quite comparable. However, if you eliminate attachments from the equation, the ICR is clearly better in every situation, aside from the 0 to 25 meter situation where the SWAT technically kills a little bit faster. We're talking literally 1 frame faster, which isn't a massive difference by any means. The true power of the SWAT really comes from its attachment selection. So let's have a look at the attachments for both of these guns. As you can see here, the key attachments for the ICR are going to be that grip 1 and grip 2. These make a huge difference in core game modes. They help practically eliminate that flinch as well as recoil, which really gives this thing that niche role in the game. You can dominate in the precision department at any range as long as you're hitting your shots. Whereas with the SWAT, we've got some of the best attachment selection out of any gun in the game. This is a good thing, but also kind of a bad thing because there's so many desirable attachments on this that typically when you're designing a class using the SWAT, you're going to want to run at minimum 3 attachments, sometimes even 4, which means you're going to have to miss out on other things on your class. As a result, if we're including attachments into the equation and we're comparing these two guns, we definitely find ourselves in a gray area. There is no clear winner here, in my opinion. The ICR is great at what it does when it comes to that precision. If you're using it right with those grip attachments, it is the best gun in the game for doing that. But then again, if we're looking for just a great all-around assault rifle that has a bunch of great attachments that it can use, that's where I would tend to lean more towards the SWAT. So at the end of the day, I can't really pick a winner between these two. They are very comparable. If I found myself on a really long range sort of a map like Icebreaker, for instance, and most of my gunfights were in longer lines of sight, I would rather have the ICR with both grip attachments. If we're on a more close quarters map, let's just say like firing range, for instance, I would probably lean more towards the SWAT with the right attachment setup. At the end of the day, I think this one is definitely going to come down to preference, and that's why I'd like to know in the comment section below, which one of these guns do you think is better, or which one do you prefer? Is it the ICR, or is it the SWAT? Also from you guys, I am open to suggestions on what you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of this series. Keep in mind, I am looking for guns that are statistically comparable. So I've seen some people say, like, why not compare the Damon versus, like, the Cordite, for instance. They're not really comparable. The Damon is a burst SMG. The Cordite is not a burst SMG. They're just different in too many ways. I'm looking for more comparable sorts of things, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be guns. But with that, we are going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll talk to you guys next time.